newest fast food restaurant. Details ahead.
We are looking at nothing on the Skywatch storm tracker, but we are looking at warming temperatures. We're going to talk about how warm it's going to get coming up.
And Ukrainian troops put Russia on the offensive, retaking thousands of square miles of war-torn territory.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Joplin Planning and Zoning Commission gives the green light for the future site of a Whataburger fast food restaurant in the city. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. It's now in the hands of the Joplin City Council. On Monday, Planning and Zoning Commissioners discussed and approved plans for the future site. Whatabrands is proposing 2 adjacent properties, the first at 2014 South Rangeline and the second at 2019 South Highview Avenue. The proposal now heads to the City Council for approval. A piece of Missouri history is up for sale, and it could be a steal of a deal. It's the old Vernon County Jail in Nevada, Missouri. In the early 1900s, it was a post office, and then in the 1950s, it became the Vernon County Jail and was used as a jail until 2009. The building is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places.
But as far as the building itself, you know, as we go through it, check it out, you'll see it needs a lot of work. But also, as you walk through it, you'll find out that the structure itself is super solid and got a lot of potential. One thing, it's you know, centrally located here in Nevada. It's got great parking. Nevada's
or lock up the sale for $45,000, the current asking price. Well, Mother Nature is about to lock in on a stretch of hot days. Chris Warner joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Yeah, we are going to really warm up over the next few days, and it starts today. This morning we were talking about our current temperatures and how they were warmer than what they were 24 hours ago. That trend is continuing as we remain 5 to 10 degrees warmer than where we were 24 hours ago. Skywatch storm tracker, absolutely nothing on it, and it's going to remain that way for a while. Temperatures across the area: 81 Carthage, 80 in Lamar, 82 Pittsburgh. Warmer out west: 86 Parsons, 88 Chanute, and 86 in Neodesha. As we take a look at the brief short-term future track, you can see we'll cool off gradually, and we'll have an overnight low right around 60 degrees tonight, and then we'll really start to heat up tomorrow as we start to push the lower 90s across the area, unfortunately, and the trend is only going upward from there. We may have some passing clouds, but we're otherwise looking pretty good, at least in terms of sky conditions, and temperatures aren't going to be too hot, but they're definitely going to be hot. So let's go about the rest of today. We're looking at a high of 89, and we're right on track to hit that. We're right about where we should be for noon. 85 by 5, 75 by 8 o'clock tonight. We're going to take a look at the 7-day forecast a little later, talk about how warm the temperatures are going to get. We're also going to look at the long-range forecast, talk about some possible rain chances to help out with the drought situation as well here in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the Justice Department issues dozens of subpoenas to former Trump administration aides and staffers in what appears to be a dramatic escalation of its investigation into the attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. Sources say more than 30 subpoenas have been issued. The focus of the subpoenas centers around the attempts to send fake electors in place of the electors won by President Joe Biden. The DOJ is also tracking money raised through Trump's PACs. In world headlines, the dramatic advance of Ukraine's army creates public anger in Russia. Now, Ukrainian troops have recaptured an estimated 2,000 square miles of territory in recent days. It's a crushing defeat for Russia and a decisive strike against Moscow's ability to resupply their forces now that they can no longer use liberated Izium as a strategic hub. As the Russian front line collapsed, the extent of war declared largely on civilians becomes clear. Hospitals and schools blown up and people killed in their own backyards. Ukrainians want to believe the tide is turning in a war that's been weighted in Russia's favor. But Secretary of State Antony Blinken warns while this counteroffensive was well planned and had clearly benefited from Western military aid, it's too early to predict any outcome. A spectacular launch failure sets back Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin space program. The New Shepard rocket the same type that's used for space tourist flights, crashed to Earth after its launch yesterday in West Texas. The capsule, with no one on board, landed safely. But the FAA has grounded Blue Origin's rockets until an investigation is complete. The company says the safety system worked as designed, but isn't saying what went wrong. Mark Strassman has more on the failed launch.
It was the 9th flight of this New Shepard rocket, carrying 36 science experiments to the edge of space. But about a minute into its climb, a malfunction. The onboard computer, sensing trouble, jettisoned the capsule up and away from the failing booster.
It appears we've experienced an anomaly with today's flight.
It's not yet clear why the booster failed and fell back to Earth, crashing out of camera view. No people were inside the capsule. It descended under parachutes and appeared to land normally. Call it a successful failure, made possible by a key safety feature installed in the center of the capsule, the escape system.
Come on into the capsule.
Blue Origin's Ariane Cornell showed us last year.
If there's any issue detected with the rocket, we've got the rocket, the capsule on board. On top, we will fire this escape motor to get the capsule far and fast away from the booster.
New Shepard is the workhorse rocket of Blue Origin's space tourism business. Since last summer, it has successfully flown 31 people on 6 flights.
This is heaven!
Those human flights use a different New Shepard booster and capsule than the ones involved in Monday's mishap. But for now, all flights are on hold while the FAA investigates.
Mark Strassman, CBS News.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, mourners flock to Buckingham Palace to pay respects to the Queen. And later, we're making marinated steak nachos in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Queen Elizabeth's coffin heads to London while King Charles makes his first visit to Northern Ireland as the new monarch. Ian Lee reports from Windsor, England.
After lying in rest at a Scottish cathedral for 24 hours, the coffin of the late Queen Elizabeth is making its way to England. Outside Westminster Hall in London, where her body will lie in state ahead of her funeral Monday, mourners have begun camping out.
It's really worth it to be part of it.
Members of the United Kingdom's armed forces took part in a pre-dawn drill to practice for Wednesday afternoon's procession.
It's a very sad day, but it is our opportunity, our last opportunity, to do a duty for the Queen.
While the outpouring of grief continues across England, including here at Windsor Castle, King Charles is in Northern Ireland for his first visit as monarch. The King greeted well-wishers outside Hillsborough Castle, the royal family's official residence just outside Belfast. A 21-gun salute marked his arrival. The British monarchy has a complicated history in Northern Ireland, where decades of violence has marked divisions between Protestant Unionists and Catholic nationalists. The King acknowledged that split, saying his mother never stopped praying for the people of Northern Ireland.
My mother felt deeply, I know, the significance of the role she herself played in bringing together those whom history had separated, and in extending a hand to make possible the healing of long-held hurts.
In a sign of reconciliation and respect for the Queen, representatives of Sinn Féin, the main Irish Republican Party, attended today's events. Ian Lee, CBS News, Windsor, England.
This was Charles's 40th trip to Northern Ireland, but his first as king. Closer to home, America's Churchill Museum in Fulton, Missouri features a new exhibit with artifacts from Queen Elizabeth II. They include a picture of her coronation signed by the Queen and a prayer book signed by her mother. A letter from King Charles III is also on hand. The museum was founded to commemorate Winston Churchill, who gave his Iron Curtain speech in Fulton. Churchill and the Queen became close after she assumed the throne in 1952 when Churchill was serving his second term as Prime Minister.
We're happy to be able to have this small, modest exhibition featuring some of the items on view to remember the great legacy of Queen Elizabeth II, and also look forward by including a letter we received from King Charles III is also on view. So we're looking back, but also looking ahead.
Museum has been preparing its Queen exhibit for some time. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Budget friendly? Yes. Made in under 30 minutes? Yes. Tasty? Well, that's a big yes. So stay right where you are because the recipe's coming up next.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we've got a pretty decent day lined up for us today. We're on track for warmer weather today, and we're on track for considerably warmer weather as the week progresses. Skywatch storm tracker showing the entire lower 48. There is activity that is out there off to our east and off to our west, but right here in the Midwest, we're just dealing with a gigantic dry slot of nothing, which does not help the drought situation. As you can see, no improvement here recently. We still have a large chunk of the area in extreme drought conditions. And unfortunately, we don't have any immediate relief on the way. What we're looking at today, temperatures are going to start rising. They are doing so today, and they will continue to do so. And we'll be stuck with hot and dry weather for the next several days. But we're watching some storm chances building in by the middle of next week. 7th range line, the skies are clear from this view. I did notice on my drive home, while there was nothing this way, there was a stray cloud or two on the southern side of the sky, but otherwise looking pretty good. Temperatures warming right on up. We're now at 82 in Joplin. We are heading for a high of 89. Got a light west-southwest wind. It feels like 81 just because right now the air is pretty darn dry. Temperatures across the area looking about the same, except for out west, it's a pinch warmer, so we're talking 85 Sedan, 86 Neodesha, 87 Yates Center, 88 in Chanute. And then out east, 80 in Lamar, 81 in Carthage, 78 in both Neosho and Anderson, and Monette checking in at the cool spot, 76 degrees. And we are still, despite all that, roughly 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what we were 24 hours ago. And that's how we were sitting through the morning as well, as we were warmer. And that means that we are beginning to trend warmer. Remember, it's September. We're not really done with summer until about October the 1st, when all of a sudden it becomes winter around the area. 78, we're actually now a pinch above that, which, again, we're on track for our high. 85 at 5, 75 at 8 o'clock, clear skies throughout the day. 89 is that expected high. And tonight, we'll hold on to those clear skies, and we'll gradually drop back through the 60s until we reach 60 degrees, which is still a little bit warmer than what we've seen over the last few days. Future track is in hyperactive mode, and it's going to skip way ahead because what we've done is we've stretched it as far as it can possibly go because there's an interesting development toward the end of next week that we're keeping an eye on. As we head into the weekend, so you can see we're still warm, we're still dry, maybe a stray shower or two on Sunday, but otherwise still dry. Monday, 4 o'clock, 73 instead of what we've been seeing, say 53 degrees the last couple of mornings. And you see those 90s popping up Tuesday morning, still warm. And then look out to the northwest. We got a storm system that's starting to roll our way as we head into the week. And once we get into late Wednesday and into Thursday, we are looking at a pretty decent shot of showers and thunderstorms across the area, something we desperately need because of the drought situation that we are currently experiencing. And the good news is this storm system looks pretty promising right now. And it looks to also last for a little bit, too. This is going in Thursday night. You can see where it lasts a little while longer. So let's take a look at the 7-day forecast real quick. You can see where we stay hot, we stay dry. Temperatures in the 90s just about all week long. And then on the 10-day forecast, we heat up next week, 95 by Wednesday. Then we look at increasing storm chances Wednesday night into Thursday. Now, this is still more than a week away. Things could change. But the latest data is really pointing at some good storm chances by the end of next week, which, again, something we desperately need. And you saw on the future track, we're not talking necessarily flooding, but we're looking at a pretty good helping of rain, which won't, eliminate the drought, but it will significantly help.
The problem is we're looking at over a week before it actually gets here.
Yeah, we've got a very long, hot, dry stretch between here and there. So for outdoor activities, this is the perfect weather. Get out there. As we do warm up, take it easy. It gets 94 degrees, can really get to you. But otherwise, if you're doing anything outside, now's the time to do it before our next weather maker moves in.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Randy Gilbreth in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Altamont, Kansas, joined the 418th Transportation Company in 2003. He served several tours in Iraq, earning a number of medals, among them the Army Commendation Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, both the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, and the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. To Sergeant Randy Gilbreth, we thank you, our four-state hero. Looking for a way to add a little fiesta to your dinner menu? Howard shows us how to make marinated steak nachos in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Every once in a while, I like to make an appetizer and serve it for dinner. One of my favorites is nachos. That's why today we're sharing a beefy recipe for nachos that is dinner worthy. We start by marinating a flank steak in some lemon juice, garlic, and a few seasonings. Once a steak has soaked up all that flavor, we can broil it or grill it inside or out until it's medium rare or so. While that finishes up, we take some tortilla chips and place them on an oven-proof platter or a couple of baking sheets. Then we top them with some shredded cheddar cheese and bake them off just long enough to let the cheese melt. After that, it's time to slice our steak across the grain and top our cheesy nachos with it. All that's left to do now is pile on our typical toppings. You know, tomatoes, onions, olives. You get the idea. Talk about a fun change of pace way to serve dinner. And like always, you can make this your very own by adding or leaving out whatever toppings you want. The recipe for our amazing marinated steak nachos is online now, so you can enjoy this for a light dinner or hearty afternoon snack. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a nacho-licious way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Look at 7-day forecast shows where we really start to warm up this week. Look at Thursday, 94 for an afternoon high. Otherwise, we're flirting with the 90s most of the week, hot and dry, watching some rain chances by the middle to end of next week that we very desperately need.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
A lot coming up at 5. For starters, Ryan Reynolds is making a personal milestone public and asking you to follow his example, how he's raising awareness about the rising rate of colon cancer in people under age 50. Plus, the Southeast Kansas workforce talks about the job market in Southeast Kansas, and Joplin Police talk about issues happening around the Range Line Bridge project. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.